Hey everybody, Kevin and Lincoln here with another race breakdown. We're looking at that women's 5,000 from the BU Sharon Collier Invitational last Saturday, just 2 weeks after the NCAA Cross Country Championship. And Lincoln, this served as a good endpoint for cross country, but also a nice appetizer for the indoor season.
Yeah, aside from Alicia Monson, it seemed like all the top 10 was here. I mean, maybe not all the way through, but you had the two from Arkansas, Werner and Izzo. You had the two from BYU and
three from BYU.
Three, excuse me. So the top seven trio, from BYU. So it was loaded. This race has been stronger over the years on the women's side, and it lived up to that here in 2019.
Yeah, let's get it rolling here. We're going to pick this up right before the 1,600 meter mark here. You mentioned the big names in here, and you see Wayne Kaladi there in third, the NCAA champion.
Mm-hmm.
She's run here many times before, along with her teammate Edna Kurgat running in front of her, although running unattached. And then in fourth right now, Taylor Werner running unattached for Arkansas, Katie Izzo of Arkansas. And then you just have the depth there with the BYU runners. You see Ellie Hines of NC State. You see Whitney Orton, Erica Burke. Mm-hmm. The list goes on and on. And coming into this race, Lincoln, I thought, and maybe I shouldn't, because this race has always been about turning the tables a little bit based on what happens in cross, but I thought we were going to see a continuation of Kaladi's reign. I really thought she was going to be the one to break that 15-12 collegiate record from Emily Sisson.
Right. It ends up with a curious case because the race itself is fascinating and awesome, and it lives up to the hype, but then there's a certain asterisk at the end with how it finished. I mean, Kaladi still runs well, but Taylor Werner redshirting this year. Collegiate records don't count when you're redshirting, and ultimately.
Don't spoil the ending.
Sorry, I won't ruin everything if you haven't seen it just yet. But Werner, this is one of those seasons. It's like I understand the redshirt to align seasons and everything, but it's like when you run 15-11 and you're redshirting, it's kind of like, what are you doing? Yeah. Taylor Werner's so fit right now.
Yeah, she is in the shape of her life. And 15-11, we'll talk about it more later, but 1 second off the Olympic standard. And that's an event, especially on the women's side, where having that standard is so crucial. It's not a given that many women in that final in Eugene are going to have that standard. So it's going to be tough to find another second because this was such a perfect race. Obviously, we know the track is fast. The conditions were great. She had amazing conditions in terms of what she was coming off of this cross-country season. It's also indoors, which helps the conditions. No wind, or very little wind, I think. And you also had Wayne Kaladi playing the role of rabbit for her. And before that, you had Edna Kurgat. And before that, you had Leanne Farber. So Werner does a really good job of tucking in and really making the most of this opportunity, because how many chances do you really get to run a race of this quality?
I mean, Boston is, unless you're coming to Boston every other week, this track is the fastest. It's indisputably the fastest in the country indoors. And yeah, you're not going to get, like I said, it's virtually the top 10. Without Alicia Monson, it's
8 of the top 10.
Yeah, it's so stacked here, and to have the two New Mexico women in front of you, this is just perfect for the Arkansas duo behind them to run really fast while doing the least amount of work. You're just probably not going to see this again.
Mm-hmm. I mentioned how this race has a way of reversing course for NCAA's. Remember 2017, Krisha Schweizer won this after losing to Kurgat in Louisville. 2018, Kurgat ran well in Madison, but didn't have the best race. She comes back and beats Kaladi, who was runner-up here.
Yep.
And then 2019, Kaladi comes in as the favorite after winning cross and gets beat by Werner, who was fourth, right? Werner finishes behind Kaladi, but also behind her teammate Izzo.
Yeah, and I think it's a reminder again that Werner, obviously very, very good, and maybe not as good, obviously, as Kaladi in cross country, but track is her domain. Like she's just very, very good in when it's flat and obviously on the oval, she's just got a little bit more foot speed than everyone around her, and of course that's shown by her runner-up finish in the 5K outdoors and the 3K indoors. She's spectacular, and then that really fast split in the DMR. This is just really where she thrives. I'm gonna miss her, of course, this indoor season.
Yeah.
For the Razorbacks, they may not need her to win another national title. We'll see, but
well, because they have the woman in fourth right now, Izzo, who runs 15-13, and she is wearing the collegiate jersey, which means she moves to number 2 all time and sets a 55 second PR in the process, track PR. She ran a faster race in cross country than she had in track. Pretty fascinating. So now we're seeing some gaps. So freeze it. Go back just a second here. Because look, there's two sides to this coin, right? The amazing fast pace is great if you can hang on, but if not, it can get bad, right? And these women, a lot of them tried to hang on to this early pace and fell off hard. We saw some DNFs. We saw some 90-plus second last 400-meter runners. Two who fared well, though, back here.
Smart.
Haas sisters, right?
Yeah.
Bethany Haas ends up running a 15:25, which is huge, a huge PR. And then Megan Haas runs 15:39. So smart running here. I think if they could do it all over again, some of these other women tried to maybe get a secondary rabbit or just like let this group go. Because when you sign on for 15-ish pace or 15:10 pace, the margin of error is very small.
Yeah, and I mean this is kind of what you do though indoors. Is you say we're gonna take a break after this, so might as well just go for something, take a little bit of a risk.
Yeah.
It's a calculated risk, and of course if you're in the top 10 in cross country, you think you can run under 15:20. But yeah, you're right. Could have certainly used that, but I think all these women were willing to take the gamble that maybe I can be the one to run 15:15 today, even if that's way off. Because you saw a lot of women, like we said with Izzo, lower their PRs by just gigantic margins. So, but this, it highlights some of the difference between the top 5 of the NCAA and maybe the 7 to 10. There's even a big gap between those women, because we see Kurgat really start to go backwards after that 3K portion.
Yeah, and I don't know if her instructions were to just keep the pace going from when the first rabbit stepped off to that next kilometer mark, but she definitely helped set the table here for Kaladi, because now Kaladi's in mid-race cross-country mode, right? I recognize this Kaladi, right? This is what we saw in Terre Haute. This is the move that dropped Alicia Monson. This is the move that the year before almost shook Danny Jones. Like, that's what she's going for here. And she's got 2 takers, though, this time. And it's a lot harder to lose people on the track than it is in cross-country.
I mean, just Werner and Izzo have to be, like, licking their chops here, though. They've got Kaladi, who isn't going to be someone to relinquish the lead. That's just so against her MO. And we know that, at least we know with Werner, her kick is better than Kaladi's. This is just such an advantageous position for Werner to be in, to have somebody to pace her this whole way.
Yeah.
Strategically, I don't know how when Kurgat's not as fit as Kaladi anymore, I don't know how you plan against this. This is just Kaladi. You were just hoping for her to be able to run away, but in track, when her skills aren't quite as strong relative to Werner, it was always going to be a tough ask.
Yeah, it's tough to get away from people indoors. It really is. There's no hills to break up the rhythm. There's no sharp corners to go around. But credit to Kaladi for making this happen. I really thought she was capable of sub 15:10 in this race, and if she did that, obviously she should have won. She still got a PR in 15:14. The all-time list is so good because of this race now. It's really hard to get into that top group. And look at the gap. Let's freeze it here. Look at the gap back now. Now Orton is completely in no woman's land. This is Whitney Orton, who was 7th at NCAA Cross. Primarily a miler. Watch out for her. She's not redshirting. Watch out for her in the mile or DMR, whatever she runs. She's going to be good. She goes 15:22 in this race. The BYU school record before that was in the 15:50s.
So beat it by a lap. That's not bad.
Pretty solid work by her, and she's having to do a lot of this on her own. That's a tough spot to be in, as opposed to Werner and Izzo, who are just along for the ride.
What do you think of in discussions, and you haven't talked too much, but with Arkansas coach Lance Harder, the decision to redshirt Werner with the goal of kind of matching her seasons up, and also the 2020 indoor meet, or excuse me, the 2021 indoor meet is going to be in Fayetteville. I mean, what do you think when someone is this fit, redshirting them? What's your call on that?
Well, I think Dominique Scott, when she was at Arkansas, she got the senior year at the home meet. I think they want to do something similar with her. I think it's I don't want to say it's a risk, because I feel like Werner's like figured it out now, and she's going to be even better next year. And if you're talking about Arkansas's team chances, and this is me saying this isn't me talking to any coaches. If you think about Arkansas's team chances, this year it's going to be awfully tough, indoor or outdoor, to beat USC. USC looks very good. But next year, if they're bringing back Izzo next year, and they're bringing back Werner, they can rack up a ton of points in the distance races. They can put together an awesome distance medley relay. Whatever they want to do, they can do. I think a lot of things are kind of weird this year with the Olympic trials looming, and they're only a week after NCAAs. Yeah. So that impacts not only outdoor, that obviously impacts indoors, right? When are you going to start your ramp up? Right. And I know I talked to Katie Izzo after this race. After she ran this, it's like, now I'm taking a break.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
The season is over. So this was the period at the end of the sentence of cross country. Obviously, you want to see Werner run because she just ran 15:11. That's sensational. But I get the long-term development, the goal of looking forward to 2021 when she could be even better.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess we get another year on the track of Kaladi, Werner, and Izzo.
Yeah, because this year you're going to get Kaladi, Monson, and then next year you're going to get Kaladi, and Werner. Yeah, so here's a little bit of a gap now, just the slightest gap forming between Werner and Izzo there. But right now at this point, I don't know what you were thinking, but I was thinking, oh, Taylor Werner is going to win this race now.
Yeah, it's easy to look back. Obviously, hindsight's 2020.
Mine is particularly good hindsight.
Yeah, it just looks like she's accelerating. That is, Kaladi's accelerating, and she's not dropping Werner. So that's your tell. If Kaladi was going to win, she would have needed to be dropping Werner at this point. It's just not happening because you just know the kick is going to be stronger from Werner.
There's a whole bunch of 36s in there, and then on the penultimate lap. So this lap right here, this is a 34.9 for Werner, and for Kaladi it's a 35.5 because Werner's going to go around right now.
And it's got to be the greatest feeling in indoor track. It's just like, see ya,
yeah,
thanks for the help.
Yeah, takes the bell. They're lapping people all over the place, but she gets in good position there. And then this is a separation. We saw this with the men's race. Edwin Kurgat had a huge time difference between his second to last lap and his last lap that made me think he has more on the table. If you're going to try to find time for Werner, I think this is where it would be. She goes from 34 down to 32, 34.9 down to a 32.5, so about 2.5 seconds there, more than 2.5 seconds. That would be where you could find it, but she played this really well.
And again, I know she's not, and then Izzo comes on for second. Quite the day for Arkansas. Arkansas's had a pretty good year. I realize it's not a collegiate record because Werner's running unattached, but for someone who's in college to take a second off an Emily Sisson record.
Pretty good.
Pretty strong. And in December, I know the cross-country fitness is there, but Taylor Werner is special. I mean, really, really is obviously by breaking. I know she didn't break the collegiate record technically, but she did also not technically.
Let's freeze it there.
It showed how truly special she was.
Yeah. So you look at the carnage here. A couple numbers to keep in mind, right? So the Olympic Games standard is 15:10, but the trial standard is 15:20. Okay. So Werner has a ticket to the trials. Izzo has a ticket to the trials. Orton is just off of that mark. All time. So Orton is now Izzo is now number two all time. And what about the run here? Bethany Haas.
Yeah, we never even really saw the Haas sisters. That's another one, like right Minnesota. No, I mean in the race, yeah. The Haas, Minnesota's record, similar to what BYU's did. I think it was in the 1550s, and they just blew it out of the water.
Yeah.
Great run, and kind of like what you highlighted earlier. It's one of those things where they intelligently hung back and didn't try to hang on the top group. It was a knowing where your fitness was and then executing well. So.
Yeah,
good stuff.
Bethany Haas, 15:25. Carmela Cardama-Baez, remember her from the 10,000 outdoors, chasing down Wayne Kaladi. She runs a 15:25 as well, so she'll be back for indoors too. So some people cycling out, but then some people cycling in as well. Should be super fun to watch. That's it for this race breakdown. If you want to check out the men's race with Edwin Kurgat, we got that coming up as well. Or you can watch the full race in their entirety with none of the stopping or telestrating. You can check that out too. It's all on the site. We'll talk to you guys next time.